Date, time, and temperature. Thursday, January 26, 11:49 a.m. at 44 degrees. Now, this isn't any ordinary Thursday in January. Today happens to be my 49th birthday. Happy birthday to me. I got to pull myself off the couch and away from Court TV. Been watching a lot of Court TV the last few months with all the true crime going on in the country. But enough with the true crime and enough with the Court TV. Let's go take a detour. Today I asked myself, where can we go on a detour where I haven't brought viewers before? We go to Salem all the time. We go to Disney all the time. We've been on cruise ships. We've been to Las Vegas. Where can we go that's fresh? Where can we go that I haven't brought you before? Well, for today's detour, we had to travel through the city of Boston into the city of Chelsea, Massachusetts, to a place that I've never been to before because, well, it just opened within the last week or two, and it runs through February 26th, which is 1 month from today. It looks like they changed the closing date. The last day for this attraction is March 12th. Today on my 49th trip around the sun, I figured I'd change it up and take you to the moon. This should be a pretty awesome detour. Dare I say, out of this world. So this is going to be pretty cool. We're going to see a bunch of NASA artifacts. I think I'm going to get myself a picture inside the spacesuit over here.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you enjoy Space Adventure, the arrival of man on the moon.
As soon as you enter Space Adventure Boston, you're brought into this auditorium where they show you a quick 4 or 5 minute documentary showcasing man's journey from Earth to the moon. They have Elton John's Rocket Man playing. It's real inspirational. It's an amazing movie, obviously due to copywritten material. I'm going to leave that song out of this video. I'm going to cut this clip down from 4 minutes down to just a few seconds before we enter the main museum part where it's a self-guided tour. This is awesome. Wow, check this place out. This diagram over here illustrates the history of the liquid-fueled rocket from when it was invented in 1942 during World War II, all the way to 1968 for the first moon landing, and then 1972 for the final moon landing. I am definitely not going to read this plaque to you, but if you want to pause the video or take a screenshot, you can learn about the first astronauts from America and the Soviet Union to take flight to space. And over here is Ham, the chimpanzee, and Laka, the dog who also traveled into space. Over here is a replica of the Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell was part of the Mercury mission of July 21st, 1961. It was a one-person capsule, and it was retrieved from the bottom of the sea in 1999. Check out this collection of astronaut spacesuits. Here's a spacesuit for the Mercury missions. Here's a spacesuit from the Gemini 4 mission. Here's a spacesuit assigned to Buzz Aldrin of the Apollo mission. Right here is a water-cooled apparel worn under the astronaut clothing to maintain a stable temperature during the Apollo missions. Over here is a collection of space helmets. This one over here reminds me of the one that Anakin Skywalker wore when he was flying in his pod racer. Prequel Star Wars, not the best. Check this thing out. It's a sleeping bag used in space from the Apollo missions. Here's a window shade. It was used during the first manned mission to Skylab space station. Here's an accessory bag used by the astronauts on the Apollo missions, signed by astronaut Charlie Duke of Apollo 16. Here's a very important piece of equipment. It's a spaceship repair kit used for the extravehicular activities during the lunar walks. Here's a jacket used in flight for the Apollo 10 mission. These may look like a pair of breakdancing pants, but no, they were used in the Apollo 16 mission by astronaut Charlie Duke. Over here is a liquid cooling system heat exchanger used with the Apollo 15 thermal suits. An astronaut glove worn on the flight suit of the Apollo missions. Here's some gloves used during the space shuttle missions. This is kind of odd. Here's a hand mold of astronaut Neil Armstrong. A left and right boot worn on the space shuttle. A pair of partial pressure boots used in the takeoff and landing of space operations. Another pair of boots worn on the space shuttle. A footprint mold of the boot worn on the moon during the Apollo missions. This boot right here still contains moon dust. It was worn during the Apollo 15 mission. Astronauts landing on the moon. Check that out. You ever want to know how you eat in space? Here's some of what they're serving. Breakfast, they're serving up instant chocolate, rye bread, strawberries, strawberry jam, crackers, coffee, lemonade. For lunch, you get a tropical punch, butter cookies, beef patties, gum, chicken and rice, roast beef, chicken and gravy. I'm not gonna lie, I would love to try some space roast beef. I'm a big roast beef guy. I wonder if it's better than Kelly's or Arby's. For dinner, you get strawberry drink, orange drink, pasta and cheese, toasted bread cubes, banana pudding, sausage patty, and a napkin. Although I don't see any space ice cream on there. Here's some Apollo mission space food. You ever want to know what space food looks like? Well, the top can, it was liver and potatoes from the Soviet Space Agency. The second can down is cherry jam, also from the Soviet Space Agency. And the third is beef. So liver, potatoes, cherry, and beef. Russian space food. Over here is canned storage used by Skylab. This is how you went to the bathroom if you're on the space shuttle. In a diaper. Hopefully this isn't a used one. More diapers. And this one you use just for, you know, when you gotta go number one. I don't know, this might actually be space feces right here. Those space turds? Here's some more space bathroom tools. This is pretty cool, a Velcro shaving mirror used in the spaceship, and right behind it is Apollo missions toothbrushes. Here's some cameras they use in space. Space footage. These are actual photo negatives taken from space. Check that out. Kind of reminds me of the Death Star right there. Here's a fuel injection plate used in the main engines of the space shuttle. Over here is a sun protection system, otherwise known as a parasol, used on the Skylab space station. Here is some insulation material based on the honeycomb structure used in the Apollo missions. This is pretty cool, a ceramic tile from the space shuttle thermal protection system. To the left of it, a ceramic tile used by the Soviet space shuttle Buran, and to the right of it, Space Shuttle Thermal Protection System carbon materials. Memory module of the Apollo Command Module control computer. There's a portable communication system. Apollo Mission Intercom System. Speaker. Apollo Spacecraft Control Panel. Here's more Apollo Spacecraft control panels. A lot of control panels, very cool. Here's the central panel of the Gemini missions capsule. Apollo Command Module, transfer tunnel lock, a survival kit used in the Gemini missions. Here's some flight tool kit scissors, an emergency blanket from the Apollo missions. Check it out, space sunglasses. Sunglasses from the Apollo missions, emergency kit. Astronaut eye patch. Space pirate. Space telescope. Oxygen hose used in the Apollo missions. Here's a secondary oxygen system used during the space shuttle missions. Here's a notebook laptop used by the space shuttle missions. Very awesome. A countdown clock used in the Apollo mission control room. Obviously, it's not connected to power, or you would see the red numbers counting down underneath countdown 1 and countdown 2.
Welcome to the Houston Control Room. From here, all of the steps in our flight to London are commanded after the launch from Cape Canaveral and Florida. I am your flight director, responsible for the mission control team. You might be wondering why we have so many control desks in this room. From here, we can monitor everything, from the astronauts' heartbeats to the power of the rocket engines, making sure everything is working perfectly. In addition, we can send commands to control most of the equipment, and consequently can make the necessary maneuvers to reach the moon. This desk machine in front of you is originally from the Houston Control Room and was used in the command of many space missions. Today, it may seem like outdated equipment, but at the time, it was the most modern in terms of computing and technology. This watch, on the other hand, was represented in many of NASA's Apollo missions. In this room, we have specialists in all of the subsystems of the rocket and spacecraft, responsible for making this fantastic effect of technology. Among these troops, one of the most important is our captain, who is responsible for making all communications with the astronauts. It is through him that we pass the instructions of the complex procedure that must be performed throughout every trip to the moon. And looking around, it may seem like there are not many people running this complex mission, but this is not true. We are just the tip of the iceberg, with more than 400,000 people working to put our men on the moon. And check this out, the Apollo program is the apex of the North American space program, and reaching the moon means taking big steps ahead of the Soviets, at a cost of more than $150 billion in current value, moving the industry forward for more than a decade. But let's go, it's launch time. You can follow the takeoff ramp and continue this fantastic journey from Cape Canaveral.
And counting. The spacecraft equipment now is on its own internal cooling. It's been sharing its cooling from us getting its cooling from an external power source up to this time. We're now approaching the T-minus 1 minute mark. T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Now in the final minute of our countdown. At the 30-second mark, swing on number 1 for retract. T-minus 50 seconds. 10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0.
After blasting off, we have suddenly landed on the moon, and check this out. This 3D map over here illustrates all the different landing sites on the moon over the Apollo missions. Check this out. Apollo 12, Apollo 11, 16, 17, 14, 15. I didn't realize we landed on the moon as many times as we did. I believe this is an actual piece of the moon right here. The astronauts of Apollo 11. Look at this. Over here is a replica of the Apollo command module. Definitely gotta talk about this copywritten Elton John. Amazing song, Rocket Man. Well, check this thing out. This is not an Atari joystick. This is a joystick used for piloting the lunar module for the Apollo missions. This is a replica of a control panel. Here's one of the probe legs used to detect the contact of the lunar module with the ground. You gotta have that thermal protection when you're on the moon. Over here we got an Apollo 11 lunar plaque. We got a baseball signed by astronaut Buzz Aldrin. Apollo Operations Handbook. There's some pencils and pens used during the Apollo missions and the Gemini missions. Over here I'm looking at a plate identical to the plate left on the moon during the Apollo 11 mission. We also got a shovel used to collect samples from the surface of the moon during the Apollo missions. We got a collection pail, a bag, if you will. And we got a geology hammer, like a digging tool. I love it, a collection of Life magazines and different newspapers documenting man's land on the moon. Cool stuff, man. Such history. And of course, we had to give it up to all those Apollo astronauts. I gotta say, that was an out-of-this-world birthday experience. Now we're gonna fly back to Earth and head to another part of this detour. We've made it back from space, but the detour is not over, my friends. We still have one last stop, more specifically over here at the Kowloon Restaurant, my favorite restaurant in the state of Massachusetts. One of the longest running tiki bars in the state of Massachusetts. Got to stop in here because you never know when this thing's going to close. We got rumors that it might be closing in the next year or two. So we have to get all the Kowloon time that we can while it's still here. It's almost like you're walking into the Polynesian Resort when you walk into the Kowloon Restaurant. Oh, we're not only celebrating my birthday today, we're also celebrating the Lunar New Year. Happy Lunar New Year. Gotta dig that water fountain right in the middle of the restaurant. That's awesome. This place is so amazing. I love the Kowloon. If you're eating your dinner or having a cocktail in this part of the restaurant, it looks like you're eating or drinking on a ship. In this area, it looks like you're dining next to a volcano. Little Polynesian tiki masks at every table. I always love sitting back here in this rear bar. Got that birthday Mai Tai. Cheers. I always get the same thing here at the Kowloon. Of course, I get the Mai Tai, I get the boneless spare ribs, the chicken fingers, and the beef teriyaki bites. It's way too much food for one person. I'm going to bring most of this home with me, and this will feed me for another day or two. It's my birthday, I can splurge. You know, this place is good if John Cena eats here. Don't be a jabroni. If you're in the Saugus area, come eat at the Kowloon. If you smell what The Rock is cooking. So what you gonna do when Hulk Hogan and the Kowloon run wild on you, brother? Well, that is officially it for my birthday detour. We had fun going to space. We had fun hanging out the Kowloon. Well, that's gonna be it for this detour documenting Space Adventure Boston. I want to thank you all for watching the video, and thank you all for spending my 49th birthday with me. You guys are awesome. A few years ago, I took you on a detour to the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. I would definitely say that the Boston Space Adventure is, you know, kind of like a mini version of the Kennedy Space Center. Very, very mini. But you're still seeing cool NASA artifacts, except, of course, you know, no space shuttle. If you live in the Boston area or you're coming to take a trip to the city of Boston in the near future and you want to check out Space Adventure Boston with your own eyes, tickets are $26.50 and the experience runs all the way to March 12th. Early in the video, I said February 26th. The last day of this experience, unless they extend it, is March 12th. I got to give a big shout out to those viewers that help support Detours by donating $5 monthly to my Patreon page. Big old shout out to Karen O'Reilly, Marshall Brown, Peter Jogalos, Dane Lavender, Steve Davis, C. Marie, David Goldman, Matthew Harton, Hubie Dubois, Vicente, Megan Milliman, Francis Arpea, Emilio Flores, Danielle Benedenti, Jeff Knutson, Jonathan Glass, John Bryson, Ron Crocker, Easy Eddie Z, Vesper and Ollie Anderson, Joel Riendo, Hales and Rue, and James Schimmelman. I really appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you for digging my videos, and cheers, my friends. You know what to do next. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below. I always answer all the comments. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing to Detours. Click that red subscribe button. While you're clicking away, click that small bell. It'll give you instant notification every single time I upload a brand new Detour. Check me out on social media. I'm on Instagram at Derek Millen, DerekMillen. I also have a Facebook group, Derek Millen's Detours. And as always, I'll catch you on the next Detour.